Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are back for It's Only a Closet featuring Wendy Scott, of course, our amazing friend and owner of Timeless Cabinetry. And we're talking to her today about, well, so much. And we have an expert here, Emily Petras, who's exploring the growing trend of consignment for high-end items. So together, we're going to have them both on the show today, diving into essentials of preserving luxury items to maximize resale value, from proper storage techniques to market insights on what's currently in demand. So whether you're looking to declutter, like I am, or make a savvy sale, the episode's going to provide you with some tips you need to know on how to keep those pieces resale ready. So first and foremost, welcome back to the show. How are we doing, ladies?
We are doing great. And I will start with I'm Wendy Scott, owner of Timeless Closets and Cabinetry. And our special guest is Emily Petras. So she happens to work in the industry, but as a youngin, she is setting the trend, which is I'm surprised no fashion house has picked her up yet. And how I know her is she is my husband's favorite niece.
Oh my goodness. Oh, so we're related. This is awesome. Nice
We
to
are
meet
related.
you. She's
Emily, tell
very,
us.
Emily,
Yeah.
say hello.
Yeah, hi. Favorite niece is it's a big deal. There are a couple of us to pick from, so it's, an honor and a privilege to be his favorite. He's one of my favorites too.
Well, Emily, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do to start.
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in Hoboken, New Jersey, so I'm close to the city. City was, always home to me, and from a young age, fashion and trends was driving me here. I wanted to be in the room where it happened, as it were. And I ended up working for a really incredible resale platform, a leading platform in the industry. I've been there for 6.5 years, which is crazy. Time is just flying. I've taken a couple different roles from the origin of their retail concepts to client management, and now I'm on their sales team. And essentially, the role is as a luxury account manager. So a lot of it is advising my clients about what is currently trending, what to sell right now, following through with their sales process from inception to getting the items on the site for purchase. And then the follow-up after that and making sure that they are happy with the services and that we can continue working with them moving forward on all of their luxury product.
Great. Can I ask what the name of the company is that you work
No,
for?
we
Or
can't.
no? Okay, perfect.
Apparently I'm
Not a
not
problem.
allowed to say. I
That's
think
okay.
it may be implied, anybody that's in the space would
Okay, not a
potentially
problem. Just
contact clues, but
all right. So if
We
we want, go ahead.
we will tell you why we decided to have this conversation. So a few weeks back, we were talking with Alana, who is the owner and founder of OPM Dolls,
Mm.
and she had done a huge purge. And she was talking to us, and she showed us a photo of the 20 orange boxes she threw in the garbage,
that's a tough
which
one.
I had a heart attack. She said she kept 40, and
Mhm.
I'm like, we need to talk to Emily because that doesn't make sense. So Emily, that's where you come in is when you're doing a resell and kind of like a why, what keeps it with the value? Like when you want to sell a bag, do you need to have the bag duster and the box? Does it affect the value and the resale value?
So in this case scenario, we're talking about Hermes. Our three marquee handbag brands that we look for, Hermes, Chanel, Louis Vuitton. Those are the highest fetching on our site. They are the most searched for. Seems like it will always be that way. It's been that way since I started at the company. Marquee bags do depreciate in value like anything else in
Okay.
the same way, as a car does the second that you drive it off the lot, unless there's this concept of exclusivity, especially around Hermes, around the Kelly bag, the Birkin bag, that we've found increases over time with the rarity. So it is really important to keep a Birkin bag as pristine as possible. It's very difficult to not want to wear said bag, but I mean, it's the more wear on the bag, the more it matters in the end. So if you can sit there and look at it and keep it in the closet and keep it on the shelf, that is 100% preferable. If you do wear it, I would never encourage throwing out boxes and collateral for a marquee handbag specifically. Other handbags, if we're looking down the line, let's say, I mean, Chanel's an interesting one too. They have such a pretty little box resale consigners like to receive the box. They like to package it that way. Um, if we're looking at Prada, if we're looking at more of a mid-tier Gucci, those boxes, toss. I think it's fine. I think it is not going to increase the value over time. Marquee in those top three brands,
Yeah.
hang on to everything you have. Collateral is really essential, and we will call it out in the copy when relisting a marquee handbag. Comes with box, comes with clochette, comes with key, comes with paperwork.
Wow.
So important to hang on to that, as long as you have the space. That's another issue that we have here in the city is that people just
Yes.
don't have the space.
So are there storage units people are putting their trusted valuables and bags in? I mean, right, what do
Oh my
people
gosh, I can't
do?
even tell you how many times it's meet me at my storage unit, meet me at my
Okay.
second apartment that I have for all of my things. Or a lot of times it's for people my age, it's meet me at my parents' house. I store
Yeah.
everything at my parents' house. So it's a lot of, just having to be really creative with storage solutions. But you can't even really break down the box. It's
No.
there's no real way to do that. So it needs to maintain in its shape, and be stored that way.
It's maintained in its shape. Does it matter how it's stored for display? Like, does it need to be hung versus stuffed and put behind a door versus an open shelf? Does that affect everything?
Don't want to overstuff a bag, but you definitely do. Like a lot of the times we put the dust bag inside of the bag when it's on
Mhm.
display in our retail stores. It's always hung on like a little metal fixture. You have to double check to make sure that that's not putting too much weight on the handle of the bag because handles are really important. The construction of the handle and just general form of the bag from top to bottom is really essential. But to display it on an open shelf, I think is the ideal, you
I
know.
do have to know, what is the most knocked off bag?
Oh,
It's got to be Louis Vuitton.
yeah.
It's rampant. I mean, you walk down Fifth Avenue and it's just all over the place. And now we're dealing in super fakes, which is a whole nother.
What's super fake compared to fake?
Super fake is in this AI generation that we're living in right now. They have found a way to really duplicate almost everything to the T of real bags. They're making it in the same factories as they're making the bags that
Using
are
the same leather, right?
using the same exact leather. It is almost undiscernible at this point, with so many of these. So the training that our team
Wow.
has had to go through, and I'm not doing the authentication. We have a whole nother team for that. I am trained in evaluation of product and preliminary pricing of product, but the team that's actually looking at these bags it's constant training, and they have to be retrained every year because of how good these super fakes are getting. So it's just wild. It really is.
Wow. I never thought about it. Great question, Wendy, because what a market for that. And how do they get around doing it? But now they're using actually the same factories?
Yeah.
That gets me. How is that even possible?
It's you know what it is? It's contract work that they have over there. There's all of these underhanded deals that go on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big industry for fakes too. I mean, it's still $1 million plus industry. So it's a big industry for overseas workers that are coming here you know, to share this product. I mean, I went to Aruba a couple years ago and I could not even believe it's like most of their business there is imports of bags, jewelry. I mean, the fake Cartier everywhere. It was really unbelievable. So they bring it to America and they splay it out. And now with the internet, they're able to not just access it walking down the street in Chinatown, they're able to shop it online. So you don't just have to know a guy anymore. You're able to use the deep, web to access all of this product. And I am not somebody who sits on my pedestal and knocks it. If you're purchasing a fake, if it's undiscernible to the human eye and in the economy that we're living in,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it just gets more and more expensive to buy the same things that you could have bought 5 years ago. I'm not going to sit here and knock it, but it is a huge problem
Of
for
course, for
our
your
authenticators,
business. Mm-hmm.
and just the luxury brands in general and the validity of their product and how they can warrant charging the prices that they do. I mean, Chanel has gone
I
up.
was just going to ask you, give me some price ranges. You're talking to someone who buys their bags at like Macy's. Like I buy, I
Yeah,
don't have it. I'm a woman who, all my life with all my makeup, it just, my bag gets so gross right away. So I'm
yeah,
always having like like if it's $60, or if I go to TJ Maxx, I'll pull up a bag within like 2 months. It's the pens, it's the makeup. It's horrible. There's only so many Ziploc bags I can put my makeup in. I'm always damaging. So I don't own any fancy bags, but
yeah,
that's why I want some education on the fancy bag world and give me
yeah.
some price points. I'm curious, right, Wendy? And I'm sure Wendy has a lot of
Yes.
clients doing closets for, and I'm sure you're making shelves for bags as well. So I know you have some insight into this as well. But for some people like myself and maybe people listening, could you kind of break down the bag world for us?
Yeah, absolutely. It is, like I said, we look at those marquee bags. I have an Hermes exotic that a client has listed right now for $34,000. If that gives you like a,
Wait, wait,
you heard that right. You heard all those zeros.
okay, it's
So it's a
listed
used
for
bag.
30, but it's used. Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, what does an Hermes? What was it again called? Hermes what?
Well, it's an exotic, so it's crocodile. So it's yeah.
What did that bag go for
Brand
originally?
Initially, when
new.
she purchased it, so
Yes.
we have it listed on the resale market at 34. It's hard to say because obviously, these very exclusive process with Hermes, they don't just hand them
Yes.
out. So it's difficult to say what her sales associate worked out with her, but we're likely listing eight to I'd say 5 to 8 grand over purchase price. So they are investment bags. Still to this day, they're truly more valuable than gold because they're less volatile on the market. So exotics are down overall. So I would not invest in an exotic. I would not
Okay.
invest in fur right now. I have a lot of women this time of year that are coming to me with their fur coats and fur. I mean, we can hardly sell a fur coat full mink over $1,000 at this point.
Wow.
It's just not. They had the mob wife trend maybe that was last winter, and I actually
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it, and I was like, maybe this is the time to get your furs out there. But it didn't really the true
Stick.
real fur over $500 didn't seem like the Gen Z were biting on that. So
Wow.
it's and that's a hard thing too because there's a lot of sentimental value for these clients when they're things that were passed on in an inheritance, things that they might have thought would be worth more and end up not being valued as high, and having to have those hard conversations with people, and work through the emotions that come with that is definitely a part of my job every single day.
Let me just ask for people who are buying these bags. So they're buying them as an investment piece more than so using them. Could you just explain that to me?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure
Yeah.
Wendy's client, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't get your hands on essentially 40 plus, it's probably 60. You said she kept 40 boxes. So 60 bags, if not to have them as an investment piece to shop around later for resale. And it's in the same way as a stock. It's
Yeah.
holding, following the market, reselling at a good time, finding a buyer. What is great about my platform is that we have an international reach online, and that is a huge way that resale's changed over time, is you're not talking about your consignment store anymore, where just your little neighborhood of women and men are coming in to look at the product. Everyone is seeing this. We ship internationally. What our biggest, buyers are in Asia, of course, for these types of bags. So it just has so much of a further reach on your product, to be
Yeah.
seen and sold. Much easier to find a buyer that way.
What's the
Amazing.
process to purchase or for you to purchase a resale item? Not for me, the consumer, but for you to be able to get it.
So we operate on leads. So that are people that are interested in the company that find it on their own. They reach out on the website. Our business development team processes that, qualifies the appointment, passes it along to my team who do deeper dives, work with the client. A lot of the time we are giving preliminary pricing. We're talking about what the value proposition might be at that point. And once they decide that they're confident and comfortable consigning, we arrange whether it be a pickup service. We do in-person
Mm-hmm.
pickup, closet clear out,
Oh,
if the client is in one of those areas, or we can do a shipping label, prepaid, UPS.
insurance.
Insurance, yeah, UPS covers it. Well, that was the craziest thing at the company's inception. I think it was 12 years ago now, was getting people to be comfortable just sending their
Trust.
product out to the ether to be evaluated by the team in the warehouse. So they don't have, the copy, the photo, nothing is written up until it's actually received physically in person by our operations teams. So again, part of my job is making them as comfortable as possible with the process, being super organized, keeping tabs on tracking and following
Yeah.
up with the product movement until it gets to the right place. And from there, the product is stored at our facility, which is also part of the commission renderings. We're photographing at our facility, and we are providing the platform and then shipping out. So people complain about commission that resale platforms take, but it is so much work off of your plate at the end of the day. I've used Poshmark. I have my things listed with the real B2C type of platforms, and it's just so time consuming to reshare your product. And I'm sure you've been there.
I've been to Poshmark, but then you pay a percentage to it, just kind of like eBay,
You.
right? But it's
Yep.
okay. Got it.
Yep, you still pay a percentage. You don't get the full percentage. You pay less of a percentage than most resale platforms that currently exist. But again, the work is just tremendous, and it's not marketed in any way. It's just you reshare it, and then it goes into the void with all of these other pieces, and you would have to like really specifically be searching.
Search for that exact item.
Exactly. Versus our team of merchandisers who will do edits, they'll do drops, they'll do all kinds of, even on our social media platforms to like really promote incredible product that we receive. So it gets really a boost. And I think that at the end of the day, the commission that you take out is worth it to actually move your product and not end up with multiple bags like I do of things that my company doesn't take that I was trying to list on Poshmark and at this point just need to like Marie Kondo and move along.
What's the target market for purchase versus sell?
What do you mean?
So, who are you targeting to sell to? Is there like a specific generation that's really buying the most? And is there a specific generation that is selling the most?
That's a really good question and something that we talked about in our resale report, which we send out every year, and I can link to you guys. I would say I mostly deal in 50 and up. I mostly deal in women. I'd say 50 and up women are the ones who are selling at this point the most. Gen Z is buying like crazy.
Really?
It's really interesting that
But they're living with their parents because they can't afford their own home, but they're able to buy bags.
exactly.
Yep.
And it's TikTok. I mean, we're
Yeah.
seeing a huge influx. Like people aren't reading the blogs anymore. They're not getting People Magazine. They're on TikTok, and TikTok is telling them what to consume, and it's street style. Like one bag, I think it's one of the ugliest bags, but the Louis Vuitton Speedy, it's like if you can imagine, it's that little like kind of reminds me of like a pug if it was a dog. Like
I'm
it's
gonna
just
look it up as we go. Go ahead, go ahead, go
yeah.
ahead, go ahead.
Or the mini pochette is another one, Louis Vuitton bags that kind of fell out of favor, after the early 2000s. It was really a 90s
Oh,
style.
yes. Okay, I've seen those
Really
before.
obsessed.
Yeah.
They're obsessed. They love a monogram. They love a little Gucci, Jackie bag with a monogram on it. And it's so interesting to see that come back into favor because for a while we were talking about that stealth, quiet luxury where it was the Row, it was Celine, it was burgundies and browns and nothing too in your face. And now it's like monogram and 90s, and they're really a
Wow.
resurgence. Even Coach, it's so interesting. Coach was nobody looked at Coach. You could get it in a vending machine at one point. You like go to the boardwalk and get like a Coach bag, and Gen Z is just like eating it up. And it really is TikTok trends, linking the bags and being able to shop from there. So we've seen a really big change in what, you
So, are
know,
you saying don't get rid of my Coach bags?
I have Coach bags.
I say hold your Coach bags for another year
Okay.
and then see. Everybody has Coach bags, right? I mean, I have them too, and Gen Z is eating it up.
What
So.
about Dooney? That's my other favorite.
Dooney doesn't necessarily hold value. It's too oversaturated. You could take it or leave it. You could probably make $80, I would say, which is
Is
Wow.
the Cartier bracelet the most knocked off? The
in
love bracelet?
jewelry capacity. I'd say it's the Van Cleef Alhambra, but maybe also the Love bracelet or the ring. It's easy to knock off because it's just so, clearly it's just a bracelet. It's just a gold, block.
Oh my
So
God.
Got it.
yeah, but Cartier is like on the jewelry front. Cartier is supreme right now.
Well, let
Every
me just ask. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask. I know we're talking about bags, but
yeah.
there's other luxuries that you deal with as well, like jewelry, like what
Yes.
other things?
Shoes too.
Shoes,
Mm.
clothing. We do archival, we do runway pieces. And it's what is also great about the resale platforms that exist is that real fashion girls, right? Like you follow these runway shows and these pieces come out, and if you missed it, you might see it again. It's like a scavenger hunt. It's like, oh my gosh, like here's that Mugler,
Wow.
2002 piece that from fall, and then it pops up again, and it's just like Christmas. It's so exciting for these like real fashion lovers to find these things again. And that's like a really great part of the job is when somebody has something that it'll be snapped up like that.
Do you
Um,
follow the trends from Europe? Like in our industry, we're and I think we just had this conversation with Tommy, where everything is 6 months to a year behind Europe.
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking at, and our people that are doing our final pricing are also always looking at Fashion Week in Europe. They're looking at, I mean, American Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week is like kind of a bust these days. Like you look at the brands that walk, you're like, who are these people?
Uh-huh.
Some up and coming, but the real, classic brands that have transformed over time are all our European brands. So we have to look to Europe to determine where a trend is going to go.
So you said burgundy. I thought burgundy was now. You're saying is no?
Burgundy, is it the color of
Like
the
the
season?
color?
The color.
There's only so many colors, that we can wear, but we're not seeing those like Bottega was a really good example of they do these like gorgeous fall bags. We're not seeing them sell as
Mm-hmm.
quickly, or even an influx of the consignment that we expected for this year
Wow.
for Bottega. Yeah, we're looking, there's like a couple brands that have really been breakout stars this year. Miu Miu is one of them. Everything Miu Miu, not just bags,
I've heard of
clothing.
Miu Miu. Uh-huh.
Um, Sydney Sweeney wore a ton of it. There's a lot of it being worn on the runway right now. That like little micro skirt was huge. This micro skirt with the like long drop waist silhouette on top with a blazer overs. I mean, you're seeing it constantly on girls my age. Um, Loewe, the puzzle bag is a big one. Really any bag from Celine is always maintaining value, which is pretty amazing, even when worn, just because it's that exclusivity. They don't release a ton of it. You have to look for brands where not a ton of product is released in each launch. It needs to feel like not everybody can have this, and that's fashion in general. Always has been, always will be. That's why brands like Supreme, the streetwear brands, were so successful because it would be these limited quantities, and then the resale value, you buy it for 200 and sell it for 1200.
Wow.
So we saw a ton of that, in previous years.
I'll ask you about my brand, Nike. So Emily and I just went to an open house for Onair. So it's a really cool Brazilian custom closet company in Paramus, and maybe we'll get
Okay.
to do another closet showroom
Okay.
tour with them. I'll ask them. And so it's very European. And Emily was dressed right off the runway, and I showed up with my blazer and my Nikes. And
I
I
love
just
it.
love my Nikes. So are they in? Are they out? What's going on with Nike Air Jordans?
I think Air Jordan is still very much a contender right now. I think
Okay.
that it's still worth a worthy investment. And I was going to say, on the same vein of preserving product, sneakers got to keep the boxes on sneakers.
Oh, good
Especially-
to know. My kids have all these Air Jordans and stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I tell them keep the boxes, except last year they used two of them by accident. So I'm like, no, for a craft. I'm like,
Were they like
no.
doing a diorama?
Yeah.
Really out with the other box.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Keep the boxes on sneakers.
Okay.
It's really important. The sneakerheads, sites like Grail definitely appreciate collateral with sneakers. But again, I mean, if you're wearing the sneakers, kind of a problem. Really want to try to not wear these investment pieces, not carry them even a couple of times because it does show. Shoes in general don't need the boxes, doesn't help the value. People think their Jimmy
Really?
shoes, their wedding shoes, their Louboutins are going to skyrocket. I have the box for it. Well, yeah, but the red bottom is scuffed off, does nothing for us to have the box. Can't list in pristine condition. Toss the box for shoes. Trying to think what else. Watches
Toss
is
the
another one.
toss the box unless it's an Air Jordan.
Toss Keep the box on sneaker
Hmm.
head brands. Air Jordans,
Okay.
keep the box. Toss the
Okay.
box on any shoes. Even pumps, even don't need it. Watches, keep every single thing. It like actually hurts my soul when somebody has a Rolex and they're like,
Uh,
I did with the paperwork. I'm like, oh God. Got to keep it. Really important
Okay.
to know. There's so much. I mean, watches is still something I'm learning a lot about, and there's just so much information. I love sitting with our horologist on staff and just picking her brain and hearing about it. But it's like watching scientists work. They open up the watch back, and there's all these little tools, and they're evaluating everything, and it's really incredible, especially, I mean, to authenticate a watch too, there's so many steps
I can
that
imagine.
are required. I mean, things can be glass filled, there can be different parts that are added that make it not authentic. We actually had an issue years back where people were purchasing a Rolex Cartier and then trying to replace it with a fake one in return. Yeah,
No.
not crazy.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Wow.
And that was one of the kinks we had to work out in the inception of the company, where it was like, you just can't even believe that people would do that. And then it became really evident that people will do anything when it comes to fraud. And they now re-authenticate product every single time it's returned. It's a pain for the consignor because their
Yeah.
commission's getting held then in the return process. And it's also a pain for the buyer because they're waiting for the money to be released. But it's just absolutely no way around it. Have to look into every single item that comes back because people are so crazy like that. So.
Well, we have just 3 minutes left in the show. Wendy, how did you want to kind of sum this up for today?
I'm going to ask Emily if you could buy one bag, what would you buy?
Good.
What would you buy to keep and play with? What would you buy to hold on for value?
So I'm holding on for value too, and this is assuming that any, sales
No price
director
point.
at Hermes would even look my way. But I'm holding on to an Hermes So Black Kelly for value. That is the dream. We had one a couple years back, and I have a photo with it.
I gotta Google that one now
I
too.
just saw it on
Hold,
TikTok this morning.
Did
hold
you
on,
really?
hold on,
Yeah.
Hermes.
Yes.
Hold on. Say it again, guys. Hold on.
Hermes
So,
So Black Kelly.
Okay, hold on. My eyes are so bad. I can't.
I'd
and
even
what's the
accept,
one you're going to use, Emily?
I'm gonna use,
Oh my gosh.
you
It's
love
Is it
it,
like
pretty?
well, there's they're 37,000?
give or take.
7,000. Oh my gosh.
All right, we have 1 minute, so
Sorry,
Wait,
and what I'm
no.
gonna
that's
use,
Oh, there's the Kelly. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna get a Chanel flap and I'm gonna beat that thing up every single time I leave the house. That would be my choice. And caviar leather because it lasts longer.
But how do
okay.
people get these bags? I'm just curious, just even if we go over a second, how do people
Sure.
get these bags? Like, are you have to be on an exclusive list? Like, is it does it go to like the highest seller? Like, how or, how does that work? Because they're so hard to get. But how do you get on that list to get it? It's like
It's it's a variety of things. I mean, when you come in, they do profiles on you, the
oh,
sales associates. They have so much information on you in the back end. But there are times I've heard, from people word of mouth going into an Hermes store and they literally say, not today. And they just turn you around. Like it's up to the discretion of how they are feeling in that moment. There is no guarantee. There is no guarantee that you even get what you want. You don't ask. You don't ask, I want a
what?
Saint Black Kelly. You come in and they offer you a bag and that's the bag that you go with. And the more you purchase over time, the more valuable, obviously, in any retail capacity you are. And they will start to offer you
So
better.
you can't walk in and say, "Look, I got $1 million to spend here today." Is it like Pretty Woman? They're going to deny you?
Yeah. Yeah. They have no problem denying you. It doesn't matter. You have to read Bringing Home the Birkin, put that on your read list. That is such an interesting story. And it's about a
Okay.
man who did a ton of European travel. And he started with scarves. He would buy scarves. His entire goal was to get in with sales associates in different Hermes stores. He would literally travel South American stores,
Oh,
European stores, American stores around, and he became a reseller. And he was one of the first, and he did it on eBay, and he amassed clients who were looking for these bags, couldn't figure out how he could get them. And it was a huge, huge business, and it ends up going awry, but
wow.
it's worth reading.
I'm
We
gonna
are
look at that
past
up.
time.
It's okay. Go
So
ahead.
I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
tell
Wrap
you
it.
who I am and how to find me, and then Emily's going to say who she is and how to find me. So find her. I'm Wendy at Timeless Closets and Cabinetry, and that's how you find me on all my social media platforms. Emily, tell us how to find you.
I'm Emily Petras, and I am Emily Petras on Instagram. So it's at EMILYPETRAS, my first and last.
I'm going to call her Emily in Hoboken, like Emily in Paris. You're the Emily in
Yes,
Hoboken.
she's way better than Emily in
Yes.
Paris.
Thank
I
you
still
so
haven't been
much.
to Paris. Yeah,
Well, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
on my list.
All right. That's amazing, right? All right. We'll talk again soon. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
ladies.
It's
so much
so
for
much
having
more
me.
than a closet. Thank you, ladies. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.